They called him the janitor, the man with no voice, no past, and supposedly no power. But what they didn't know was that he had once silenced monsters in the deadliest corners of the world. And now, he was walking their halls. He clocked in at 6:58 every morning. Same worn boots, same pressed uniform, same silence. Henry Clay was the kind of man people passed without a second glance. In the fluorescent-lit halls of Elm Ridge High, he was just part of the background. Invisible. To the students, he was Mr. Mop. To the staff, a nobody. Even a front desk clerk never made eye contact. But Henry didn't mind. In fact, he preferred it that way. They joked that he lived in the boiler room, that he probably talked to rats more than people. And every time he passed with that slow, heavy gait, they'd snicker. One kid even filmed him for TikTok, slapping a sad violin track over it. It went viral for the wrong reasons. But Henry? He never flinched. Not once. Because behind those tired eyes was a man trained to withstand interrogation. A man whose name once lived on government lists that didn't officially exist. But that was another life. One he buried the day the world stopped making sense and started mopping floors instead. It started with garbage. Derek Mattson, the quarterback, the prom king, the politician's son, led it. They smeared spoiled meat under Henry's car handle, replaced the school announcements with auto-tuned clips of Henry's coughs, added subtitles that mocked him. It played in every classroom. Even some teachers chuckled. Henry didn't. He just kept pushing his mop as if nothing happened. But something had shifted. Deep inside that quiet shell, a switch had clicked. That night, in a small walk-up above a laundromat, Henry sat still. No TV, no lights, just Bandit, his dog, snoring beside him. On the table, a folded American flag, a locked metal case, and a photo for men in camouflage. One of them, unmistakably Henry, young, dangerous, calm. The others? Gone now. And the words he once lived by still echoed. Stay quiet, stay sharp, and never strike until you're certain they won't get back up. But not everyone was blind. Emily Watts, top of her class, quiet, observant, watched it all unfold. The prank, the laughter, and Henry's expressionless face. She didn't believe in ghosts. But something about Mr. Clay felt off. Like he wasn't who he pretended to be. She lingered near his closet after school. Curious. She didn't expect to find anything. Until she did. Taped beneath a shelf was a note. Yellowing. For whoever still sees. And beneath it a key. It opened a small compartment, hidden behind cleaning supplies. Inside, an encrypted hard drive, a worn dog tag, and a metal plate with one sentence engraved. For when they go too far. The next day, Henry was called to the office. Accused of misconduct. No evidence. No hearing. Just suspended. Because when you're invisible, it's easier to believe you're guilty. As he walked past the lockers, Derek leaned in and whispered, "Guess you're finally out of here, janitor." Henry stopped. For the first time, he looked the boy in the eye and said, "You remind me of someone I used to know." Derek sneered. "Yeah? Who?" Henry didn't smile, didn't blink. "He's dead now." Henry walked out without another word. But Emily stood frozen, because that wasn't the walk of a broken man. That was the walk of someone about to return to who he used to be. And as the door shut behind him, the voiceover fades in. You thought he was just the janitor, but you never asked who he was before. They pushed him. They laughed at him. They erased his name with rumors and lies. But what they didn't realize was that Henry Clay wasn't broken. He was waiting for the moment they went too far. 3 days after the prank, Henry stood in the principal's office. No lawyers, no witnesses, just a one-sided accusation. A fabricated video, carefully edited, showed him standing too close to a student locker. A locker that had, somehow, been filled with stolen test answers. It was all a setup, but in a school like Elm Ridge, reputation meant more than truth. "You've always kept to yourself, Henry," the principal said, avoiding eye contact. "Maybe it's time we part ways." That was it. No hearing, no defense. Just a file marked suspended pending further investigation. Down the hallway, Derek and his boys high-fived. One of them recorded a TikTok. "Janitor finally got Ken skull, we run this school." Their laughter echoed down the hallway. They thought it was over. They were wrong. Emily stared at the hard drive from Henry's closet. Encrypted, cold, heavy in her hands. She brought it to her best friend Miles. Quiet, awkward, brilliant with computers. "This thing's military grade," Miles muttered, eyes wide. Who is this guy? It took them 3 hours to crack the first layer. What they found wasn't homework files. It was folders titled Sandstorm, Lima 12, Echo Fall, Burn Protocol, Operator Clay. Inside, black and white photos, mission debriefs, government insignias. A photo of Henry shaking hands with a U.S. president. Face blurred, but unmistakably him. "This guy's not a janitor," Miles whispered. "He's a ghost." Henry sat still. He hadn't touched the coffee, hadn't fed-banned it. On the table in front of him, his old military dog tag, rusted and worn. He ran a finger over the inscription. Clay, Henry J. Unspoken Operations Unit. Expired, classified. He opened a drawer, pulled out a plain brown envelope. Inside, surveillance photos. The kids. Their homes. Their patterns. Not to harm them. No, Henry Clay wasn't planning revenge. He was planning exposure. The students were planning a second prank. This time, for the school talent show. Something big. Something public. Derek had bribed a tech club student to rig the projector. The plan? A deepfake video of Henry. Humiliating, obscene, fake audio. They were going to play it in front of the entire school. But fate didn't play by their rules. The projector flickered. The lights dimmed. The crowd hushed. And then, screams. Not from the prank. From a stage. One of Derek's crew, Jason, collapsed. Foam at the mouth. Eyes wide. Convulsing. Chaos erupted. Someone had spiked his water bottle. But the prank setup had gone horribly, horribly wrong. And now a student lay nearly dying in the same gym where Henry had once swept floors. No one knew what had happened. But blame? It's always easiest to place on the person who doesn't speak up. She found him, standing in the shadows outside the school gate. "It wasn't you," she said. "I know it wasn't you." He looked at her calm, but his voice low and tired. "They tried to destroy me, but now they've destroyed themselves." "Jason's in the hospital," Emily said. "They're covering it up." He nodded. "And they'll bury it, just like they tried to bury me." Emily handed him the hard drive. "I saw what's on it. I don't know who you were, Mr. Clay, but I think I believe in who you are now." He didn't thank her, didn't smile, just said one thing. "What's coming next can't be undone." Pinned on the wall, a map of Elm Ridge High, faces of every student who wronged him, the Matson family crest, and a sticky note under Derek's photo, the head of the snake. The prank was just a spark, but now the fire was spreading, and Henry Clay was done being invisible. His name was Henry Clay, but in certain circles, he had no name at all. To them, he was a ghost, a whisper in a war zone, a man who got in and out before anyone knew he was there. But here, at Elm Ridge High, he was just the janitor they laughed at. Until now, Emily stared at the laptop screen. The hard drive had finally cracked open. What she found inside wasn't just shocking. It was straight out of a spy movie. Covert missions, Black Ops files, photos of Henry standing next to people whose faces were blacked out. But one picture stopped her cold. Henry, in military gear, standing in front of a burning compound. On his chest, a patch that read unspoken. Her heart jumped. Footsteps outside her door. And her mom called. "You still awake?" She slammed the laptop shut and threw a blanket over it. Just studying, but this wasn't just about grades anymore. This was about survival. Meanwhile, Henry sat in his car, parked 2 blocks from the Matson estate. Derek's home wasn't just big, it was fortress level. But Henry wasn't there for revenge. He was listening, scanning frequencies. And what he heard changed everything. "Make sure it's erased before the school board finds out," a voice said over the signal. "No loose ends, or we all go down." Henry's jaw clenched. This wasn't just about a prank anymore. There was a cover-up, a bigger secret buried under Elm Ridge High. Emily met up with Miles again. "If Henry was framed," she said, "we need to find out who's pulling the strings." Miles, chewing on his hoodie drawstring, whispered, "I got into the school's hidden network folder. Guess what I found?" He turned the screen toward her. It was a live access portal, streaming real-time footage from cameras no one knew existed. Why would a high school need hidden cameras? Emily whispered. Miles shrugged. Unless it's not about students. It's about secrets. Hey, if this story's pulling you in like it pulled in Emily, then don't just watch. Become part of the mission. Man Detective, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what's coming next? It's wild. Fire. It's twisted. And trust me, you do not want to miss the next leak. Now back to the madness, backhand index pointing down. Henry stood washing his hands in the faculty restroom when the door creaked open. Derek, smiling, smug, heard you're still hanging around, he said. Henry looked in the mirror, not at Derek, but through him. You think this is a game, Henry murmured. You haven't even seen the board yet. Derek laughed. You're just a janitor. Henry dried his hands slowly. And you're just a child playing at war. Then he walked out, leaving Derek confused and, for the first time, nervous. Back at home, Emily opened one last file. This one was different. A folder titled Operation Sapphire School. Inside, blueprints. Not of a military base, not of a mission, but of Elm Ridge High, dated 2003, 20 years ago. Why would the government have school blueprints from before I was even born? Emily whispered, and then a name appeared, one she never expected. Matson, Greg, strategic liaison. Her eyes widened. Derek's dad was involved? There was a knock at Henry's door. 3 knocks, then silence. He opened it cautiously. A man in civilian clothes stepped in. Tall, scarred, quiet. We saw the suspension. We've been watching, the man said. You ready to come back in? Henry stared out the window, then said, No, I'm not coming back. The man tilted his head. Then what are you doing? Henry turned, voice steady. I'm finishing what we started. He was invisible, but now the whole world's about to see him. And the deeper Emily digs, the darker the truth becomes. Henry Clay stood in the darkened hallway of his small apartment, staring at the faded photograph on the wall. A woman, smiling, hair in curls, her arms wrapped around a younger, stronger Henry in uniform. His wife, gone now, killed during a botched mission by his own side. Long pause. And the military? They called it collateral damage. Henry called it betrayal. That was the last day he ever wore a uniform. The same day he decided to disappear. In his silence, into janitorial uniforms, into the corners of a high school where no one would ask questions. But now, they had pushed too far. After the near-death accident with one of the students, the school rushed to sweep everything under the rug. No investigation, no blame, just a quiet transfer of the injured student to another school, and a press release that called it a minor chemical mishap. But Henry knew. He saw the setup, and now he was done waiting. Henry started following the boys, not with fists, but with files. He tracked patterns, online activity, hidden text messages, expensive purchases. Where did a 16-year-old get $3,000 sneakers? One by one, their secrets unraveled. Cigarette, one, was selling vape pens in the locker rooms. Laptop computer, another, was using the school's Wi-Fi to run an illegal crypto mining farm in the science lab. Speech balloon, the ringleader, blackmailing other students with hacked DMs. Every day, a new file landed anonymously in the school board's inbox. Expulsions began quietly. Parents screamed in silence. Henry didn't need revenge. He wanted truth. Emily, still unsure where she stood, confronted Henry in the boiler room. Is this justice or war? She asked. Henry didn't answer. He simply handed her a flash drive. Plug this into the principal's laptop tonight, 9 p.m. No questions. Just do it. By the way, if you've ever wished a quiet underdog would just snap and show the world who they really are, yeah, you're not alone. And if you're glued to this story like a mystery box on fire, hit that subscribe button like Henry hits Injustice, silently, but with precision. Oh, and don't forget to tap the bell, because part 5? Phew, it's like fireworks in a funeral home. Now back to the story. That night at 9 p.m. sharp, Emily snuck into the staff lounge. She plugged in a flash drive. The screen went black. A system-wide override began. Every screen in the school started displaying one video. Henry Clay, in full military gear, speaking directly into the camera. For years, I kept quiet. I cleaned your floors, your messes, even your lies. But this time you hurt the wrong man. Teachers gasped. Students stared. Phones lit up. But before the final file played, the feed cut off. Police sirens screamed outside. Officers rushed in. Guns drawn. Henry Clay, you're under arrest for unauthorized access to private data and endangering minors. Emily watched, paralyzed, as they handcuffed him. But then, one of the officers leaned in and whispered something in Henry's ear. We've been waiting for your call. Slow ambient hum. Rain softly patters in the background. Handcuffed and cold, Henry sat in the back of the squad car, soaked in silence. Emily watched from the school entrance, eyes wide, mind spinning. Why had the officer whispered, "We've been waiting for your call"? What kind of janitor was this man? At the police station, Henry wasn't thrown into a holding cell. He was escorted to a private room. Inside was a single chair, a cup of black coffee, and a man in a gray suit. Agent Carter, the man said calmly, Department of Domestic Intelligence. He slid a file across the table. On the cover, Henry Clay's military record. Only now it was declassified. You could have stayed hidden forever, Agent Carter said. But you chose to act. Why now? Henry leaned forward. Because children were getting hurt. And this school, this system, looked the other way. Beat. Agent Carter smiled. Welcome back, Commander. That whisper in the police car? It wasn't a warning. It was a callback. Henry had once been part of a Black Ops domestic security task force. The same task force that had faked his civilian ID and tucked him into anonymity. But now, they needed him again. Not for war, but for investigation. Because the high school was a test site. Test site? Henry asked. Agent Carter nodded. For social engineering, digital manipulation, behavioral control. The students were being used as data points. Their reactions studied. Their cruelty encouraged. By someone far bigger than a bully ring. And the leader of it all? The school principal, Mr. Hargrove. A man with no past records before 2005. A man whose real name was Lucas Harrow, a known informant from an old disbanded military experiment. And Henry? He'd been unknowingly stationed in the lion's den. Now I don't know about you, but if this janitor turned ghost commander caught you off guard, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Seriously, don't just watch. Join the squad. We drop stories that unravel layer by layer like a Netflix binge with no chill button. Let's just say, someone very unexpected is about to turn on Henry. Eyes. Tap subscribe, and don't forget the bell. We're just getting warmed up. Later that night, Henry returned to the school. Not as a janitor, but as a ghost operative. He entered the basement, the one beneath the janitor's boiler room. He pulled up a trapdoor. Below it, a full-blown surveillance lab, hidden beneath the school. Dozens of screens, facial recognition logs, audio recordings from every classroom. Emily followed behind, stunned. What is this? She whispered. Henry didn't even turn. This, he said, is how they control the future. Suddenly, the power cut. Every screen went black. A single light flickered. Then a voice played through the speakers. Welcome back, Commander Clay. We've missed you. The lights flickered back on. Henry stood still in the underground surveillance room, eyes locked on the glowing screens. That voice. Welcome back, Commander Clay. We've missed you. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone he once trusted. Lucas Harrow, formerly Principal Hargrove, had been his commanding officer. Back then, they were partners in a covert behavioral study operation, until Harrow went dark. Now, he was using children to finish what the government had abandoned. Total influence control through environment manipulation. Henry wasn't just there to protect the school. He was sent, unknowingly, to neutralize his old friend. The real mission had started the moment he put on the janitor's uniform. Suddenly, every door in the building locked. Screens lit up, showing every classroom, hallway, office. Students and teachers, now hostages in a controlled building. The PA system crackled. I taught you better than this, Henry, Harrow said. You should have stayed in the shadows. A countdown began on the main screen. System purge in 30 minutes. What was being purged? Evidence, data, possibly people. Everything gone. Henry tapped his earpiece. Agent Carter, he whispered. It's go time. From miles away, tactical drones were launched. But the system was locked. Only Henry could open the manual override. And it was in the heart of the school library, guarded by Harrow's private security. Time was running out. Henry and Emily, yes, Emily, she refused to stay behind, moved stealthily through the corridors. Booby traps, surveillance lasers, armed guards with non-lethal tech weapons. Every hallway felt like a battlefield, until they reached the override panel. The panel required 2 keys. Harrow had one, Henry had the other, and there was only one way to retrieve it. Face him. Hold up. I know you feel it too. This isn't just another school drama. It's Jason Bourne meets Breaking Bad meets a mop bucket. So if this isn't your first what the heck is going on moment, go ahead and tap that subscribe button like it owes you answers. Smirking face. We drop stories that flip ordinary into legendary. Subscribe now. Because the finale? Yeah, it's worth it. Now back to the showdown. In the old gymnasium, dimly lit and echoing with memories, Henry confronted Harrow. You taught me strategy, but you forgot one thing, Henry said calmly. I also learned empathy. A hidden team, Emily, the nerdy kid from detention, 2 teachers, and even the school bully, all came together, flipping the tables. They'd been watching, learning, planning. The school community stood up. And for the first time in a long time, Harrow wasn't the puppet master. He was outsmarted. Students were freed. Evidence was secured. And Harrow, arrested on live stream, courtesy of Emily's viral TikTok. Months later, the school launched a national campaign against cyber-psychological manipulation. Henry? He returned to cleaning the halls, mop in one hand, wisdom in the other. But every student looked at him differently now, not just as a janitor, but as a legend. And Emily? She became a whistleblower and tech ethics advocate, all thanks to the quiet man who once fixed her locker. Some heroes don't wear capes. Some wear faded uniforms, carry brooms, and hide battle scars behind tired eyes. And sometimes the people we overlook are the ones quietly holding up the world.